Mike here, Vaping Mike on most of the forums. Plan on doing a series of videos to try to help out the new vapor, try to explain some of the terms and the different hardware and I guess wetware in terms of vaping. I know when I started I had absolutely no idea what all these terms meant or what was going on, and it was confusing, and it took me a while to really grasp the concept. So I thought maybe making a series of videos that kind of condensed all of that into one localized area, this area of course being my YouTube channel, might help out future vapors so that they can get on board quicker and try to get off the analogs, try to get off the cigarettes. We're going to cover in the next episode your general terms, terminology, all the different weird alien words that vapors throw around that you may not really be familiar with, and it may confuse you. Eventually we're going to get into the actual hardware itself, talk about the different styles of personal vaporizers or electronic cigarettes. But for this video I just want to do a brief introduction to me, since I'm the one you're going to be watching. If you don't like me, there's no point in watching. My story and my deal with electronic cigarettes, and the reason I swapped to them, I had two grandfathers in my lifetime pass away from cigarette-related illnesses. One developed emphysema, and one night when he went to sleep, he could not get enough oxygen into his lungs, and he simply passed away. My other grandfather was diagnosed with cancer, and probably within the next 4 months, he too passed away from cigarettes. I was a heavy smoker. I smoked probably 1.5 to 2 packs a day. And to me, that's heavy. To a 3 or 4 pack a day person, that's probably pretty light. But that's the way I was. And I wanted some way to help me stop smoking. But at the same time, I really didn't want to stop smoking. I loved smoking. And I know that sounds weird, but it was true. I wanted to continue to smoke, not because it made me feel cool or hip, but because I enjoyed the hand-to-mouth action. Haha. I know that a lot of people have that I won't say addiction, but that habit, that oral fixation of wanting to constantly do the hand-to-mouth action of simulating a cigarette, which is why an electronic cigarette helps out. Not only do we get our nicotine and a wide range of flavors, but it also gives you that hand-to-mouth habit that you're so used to. I enjoyed smoking. I enjoyed the feeling of smoke in my lungs. I know that's, again, weird to say, but I grew accustomed to it, and I couldn't go very long without trying to get just a little more in there. Where I work, I occasionally have to exit my building and walk right next door to the next building, which is still part of our facility, if you will. And every time I walked over there, it took all of maybe 30 seconds to make that walk. I always managed to stretch it out long enough for me to have a cigarette, an entire cigarette. So roughly we're looking at taking a 30-second walk and turning it into a 5-minute walk. At the same time, I did not smoke in my house. I didn't want my house smelling of smoke. I didn't want it stinking. So I wanted a way to try to curb those cravings while I was at home. One day while browsing the internet, I found a link, if you will, a banner, an ad, to an electronic cigarette. I had never heard of them. It was a brand I don't really want to name at the moment. We'll get into that in a future video. But I figured the only way to know if this is going to work to help me get off the tar and the carcinogens and all those bad things that are in cigarettes that actually give you cancer, and the only way to actually know if it works, if I can actually use this to alleviate my cravings while I'm at home on my computer watching TV or whatever I'm doing while I'm inside to try to curb those cravings, the only way was to try it. So I ordered a kit, a starter kit, and I wasn't happy, but at the same time I could tell there was something there. So I looked into doing some research on the internet, a broader range of electronic cigarettes or personal vaporizers, as I found out the community prefers to call them. I still call them e-cigs. I just have a hard time swapping over terms that I know. So instead of saying e-cig, or instead of saying PV, I always say e-cig. That and trying to get my friends to swap over, it's easier to tell them this is an e-cig, it's an electronic cigarette, here's what it does, than it is to say this is a personal vaporizer. To me, that just sounds like something out of a futuristic movie. I'm going to vaporize you with my little personal vaporizer. Pew pew. But, that's just me being silly. The day I got my true personal vaporizer, which I'll discuss my history of it as we go through the different parts, and of course, eventually we'll be working into some reviews. But when I got my first one, even though it wasn't that great, I could tell there was something there. And once I got my first good kit, I have not touched a traditional cigarette since then. Never since. In fact, where I work, I have a bunch of friends, and they are coworkers, and they smoke pretty heavily. Whenever we hit our break time, they always go outside, and they usually smoke 3, 4, 5 cigarettes. And I used to be right there with them. Now I go out there and I vape on my personal vaporizer, and I can smell the smoke on them. I can smell the smoke in the air, and it kind of gags me. It's not necessarily choking me like it used to before I ever started smoking when I was younger, but I could definitely smell it, and it's not a good smell, and I really don't like that. I have not tried a traditional cigarette, although I've heard from a lot of people that if you try a traditional cigarette after you've been vaping for a while, there is a distinct gross out factor, I guess you could say, a distinct hatred of that taste and flavor and smell, simply because you've grown accustomed to delicious tastes, along with just the right amount of nicotine you want. And you get your taste buds back. I mean, the reason most people who smoke don't actually think that they're smelling all that bad, or that the smoke tastes all that bad, is simply because the cigarette smoke itself is killing their taste buds, or I don't say it's killing them, but it's deadening their taste buds and their olfactory senses, of course, in this case, the sense of smell. It's deadening it to where they don't notice it. They grow so accustomed to it that once you get off of it, you get those taste buds back. Not only does food taste better, but you'll start realizing that cigarettes are disgusting. So my main reasons for trying the PV was, again, so I could eliminate the habit of wanting to go outside all the time, but also to try to do better for myself. I had 2 grandfathers pass away from smoke-related illnesses, like I said. I have a grandmother who's smoked all her life, well, the majority of her life. And while she doesn't have cancer, thank God, she doesn't have anything necessarily smoke-related illness-wise, she does have shortness of breath a lot. And she continues to smoke to this day. I wish I could get her to try a personal vaporizer, but it's at the point where she's so set in her ways, there's no way I'm going to be able to get her to make the switch unless I go over there and do it for her every single day. And I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, I can't even get her to check her email. I've actually written down a step-by-step guide on a piece of paper on how to check your email, and she still can't do it. So I wanted to do it for myself, not for other people, but for myself. Try to get off of the traditional cigarettes. Try not to be addicted to them anymore. And the plus side, I'm saving roughly $140 to $200 a week. So until next time, where we're going to discuss terminology, all the different terms, please support your right to vape.